Alright, what's up YouTube? Today we're going to be going over some core set 2020 spoilers, and we're going to basically be evaluating the cards on the fly here. So in this video we're just going to handle white cards, and as soon as we get to... what's the next color?
Blue.
Blue. Next color's blue. Once we get to the blue cards, we're going to stop the video and then make a new one. So, got a different scene here. So the first card we're talking about is Aerial Assault. Sorcery for 3 mana. It's a white card because we're doing white cards. Destroy target tapped creature, and you gain 1 life for each creature you control with flying. It's not a bad removal spell in Limited. I don't think it'll see play in Constructed, but removal in Limited is pretty good to have.
So next we have a Johnny, Strength of the Pride. It's a mythic, of course. Planeswalker, as everybody knows. 2 white, 2 generic. 3 abilities because it is a mythic Planeswalker. Starts at 5 loyalty, which is kind of nice. +1, you gain life equal to the number of creatures you control plus the number of planeswalkers you control. So I guess regardless of what you're saying, you're always going to gain
Yeah, it's
one,
always doing something on the
as
+1.
long as they don't kill it in response. So then the -2 is to create a 2/2 white cat soldier creature token named Johnny's Pride Mate. And then of course the Pride Mate gains. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on a Johnny's Pride Mate. And the 0, if you have at least 15 life more than your starting life total, exile a Johnny, Strength of Pride, and each artifact and creature your opponents control. So I guess the 0 on this is kind of a finisher. I mean, as long as you have a board presence.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it doesn't exile all permanents, just creatures and just artifacts. So, I mean, it should end the game, and it's definitely good in Limited.
Yeah, this is pretty much a game ender. You're
yeah,
churning
if you
out
open it in a sealed pool or a draft,
Yeah.
you should probably be playing it. Yeah, WotC really likes a Johnny's Pride Mate, apparently.
Yep.
The next card, Ancestral Blade, which it's the first of the artifact equipment cycle that we have in this set. So it's 2 mana, and when it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 soldier token and attach Ancestral Blade to it. So it's 2 mana for a 2/2, we'll say, which isn't bad. And, you know, if you get some, even like 1/1 and 2/2 evasive creatures and put this on it, it's not bad. I'd probably run 1 in a Limited deck if I had to.
I think the thing to know with this, the last set that made creatures were like the germ tokens.
Yeah, it was Phyrexia.
Yeah, so these ones actually don't. If you do move them to something else.
Yeah, this lives through. It's not a 0/0 germ.
So you could potentially make something bigger and make yourself a 1/1.
Yep. And worth noting, since you brought it up, in New Phyrexia, when we had the other cycle of things that did this, there's rumors we're going to go back to New Phyrexia in the next set. Next one.
So next is Angel of Vitality. It's a 3 mana 2/2. Not the greatest, except that it does have flying, and then if you gain life, you gain that much life +1 instead. And then Angel of Vitality gets +2/+2 as long as you have 25 or more life. So I guess Angel of Vitality kind of meant to play with the Pride Mate, the life gain, and then of course a Johnny.
Yeah, there's definitely a life gain theme going on in white.
Yep.
A good Limited card, I think. So next one, Angelic Gift, which is 2 mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and it just gives the enchanted creature flying. It's okay to use as a cantrip. It doesn't really have much effect if you're playing white with a lot of flyers anyways. But if you have a decent ground creature, you can give it
Flyers
flying.
are always good in Limited.
Flyers are good in Limited. It won't see any standard play, or constructed play, I should say.
Next is Apostle of Purifying Light. This is, I guess, the cycle. This is from that cycle of creatures that all have protection from a color. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe there's one of each.
Yep. So they're uncommons. This one's a 2/1 for 2. It's protection from black, and then you could pay 2 and exile target card from a graveyard. I guess the thing to note with this is the ramifications it could have in Standard.
Yes.
That you could repeatedly play or pay 2 to exile cards from graveyard. So it is on a creature instead of being on an artifact or an enchantment. I guess traditionally an artifact is what would have it.
Well, and a lot of decks that are going to be playing out of the graveyard are going to be black anyways. So you got Golgari, you've got Sultai, you've got other decks like that. So being able to just remove cards in response to things targeting them
and then
is
not being able to remove this.
And it's protected from black. So I think this card will probably see sideboard play in Constructed. And then we have Battalion Foot Soldier. 3 mana for a 2/2, and when it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for any number of cards named Battalion Foot Soldier and put them into your hand. We've seen different iterations of this, and so far Squadron Hawk has been the only one that saw constructed play. If you get multiples in your sealed pool or your draft pool, I guess you could play it.
Next is Bishop of Wings. It's a rare. It's 2 white. It's a 1/4. Now, whenever an angel enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 4 life. And then whenever an angel you control dies, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. I guess the thing to note with this is that it doesn't say non-token angel. So all those things that do make angel tokens, could make you an angel token, and then could make you a 1/1 white spirit. I forget the name of the enchantment, but whenever a token enters the battlefield, you make an angel. Divine Visitation?
Yeah.
Or something
that's
like whatever that be. So if your angel does die, you make the white spirit, but instead of making a spirit, you make an angel.
Yeah. I think it's good as a 1/4 for 2 just to slow down aggressive decks too. And then if you're playing, there's what angel's on 3 in standard?
The lifelink one where you +2/+2 and lifelink.
No, that's 4. Whatever.
You pay
there's a decent number of angels, so you could conceivably make more of an angel-centric deck and use this to.
I'm sure YouTube will tell us what it is.
Tell us what we're thinking of. It's not Shalai.
No. The 3/3 for 3.
Yeah.
Gets +2/+2 for 6 and lifelink.
All right. Next one. Brought back. 2 mana instant. Choose up to 2 target permanent cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn and return them to the battlefield tapped. I think this could see play. Bringing back 2 things that were both put from the battlefield this turn, you may not ever bring back 2 things. If you can, then it'll see play, and if you can't really reliably bring back 2 things, I don't think it will.
The one iteration so far that I've seen with this is the new Lotus Land.
True.
So, couple people brought up the fact that
you tap your lands for mana.
Yep.
And then you play the Lotus Land and sacrifice those lands.
And then you cast Brought Back.
And then you bring them back. So yeah, I guess that's a pretty cool interaction.
It's a lot of cards to do one simple thing.
Yep. And for using it with like a Wrath effect, if you're going to Wrath for 4 or 5 mana and then also pay 2 more, you're trying to Wrath a board against presumably an aggressive deck on turn 5, 6, 7. So I don't think this will see much play, if any. Just talked myself out.
Next is Cavalier of Dawn. This is the first of the 5 mythic elementals. So this is 3 white, 2 generic. It's a 4/6 with vigilance. And when Cavalier of Dawn enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. And its controller creates a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token. And then when it dies, return target artifact or enchantment from your graveyard to your hand. I guess one thing to note is that it can destroy itself.
It could also destroy your own thing just to upgrade a creature into a 3/3. And then if it dies, I guess it's artifact or enchantment that it recycles. But so you could destroy your own stuff.
But say there is something that's that you absolutely need to get back out of your graveyard.
You could destroy itself.
Yep, make a 3/3, and then in turn, buy back that artifact or enchantment.
Next, we have Dawning Angel, 5 mana for a 3/2, flying, and when it enters, you gain 4 life. I think this is fine to play in Limited, but I wouldn't play it in Constructed.
This is a reprint, Daybreak Chaplain. It's a 2 mana 1/3 with lifelink, which just kind of some filler, I guess, in Limited.
Limited, yeah, it's fine in Limited.
Yep.
Devout Decree, 2 mana sorcery, exile target creature or planeswalker that's black or red, and then scry 1. Obviously a sideboard card, and it will probably see play.
This is a reprint as well, so everybody knows, or should mostly know, what Disenchant is. 2 mana instant that just simply says destroy target artifact or enchantment.
You'll see me playing my beta Disenchants in Standard.
Yep.
Next one is Eternal Isolation, 2 mana sorcery, put target creature with power 4 or greater on the bottom of its owner's library. This will probably see Constructed play, and it's definitely good in Limited.
It'd be way better, I think, if it were an instant.
If it were an instant, sure.
But
like, you can tuck a god.
Yep.
Which are super problematic.
It is your answer now.
Yep.
This is another reprint in Fencing Ace. 2 mana 1/1 with double strike. I guess if you need something in your limited pool.
Yeah. Worth noting, it gets really good with equipment. Anything to raise its power up.
The 2 mana +1/+1 equipment. Yep, the blade.
Gauntlets of Light, 3 mana enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +0/+2 and assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. And then you can pay 3 to untap the creature. If you're playing a toughness wall deck, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's about, like, this plays into that wall deck very well.
But you don't...
Other than that...
Yeah. We'll just skip it. I mean, I guess if you need some way to, like, increase the toughness of your blockers in Limited, but I don't know that it's going to be a standard player.
Yeah. Next is Glaring Aegis. It's a 1-mana enchantment that says, enchant creature, and when it enters the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls. Your creature gets +1/+3, and I believe there's been quite a few enchantments that have been printed similar to this.
Yeah, this is strictly an upgrade to Holy Strength.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
So I think it's fine to play in Limited again. If you're playing like a super aggressive white deck, I could see it being useful to just tap down a blocker and get in an extra point. But I think mostly be a Limited card.
Yeah.
And then we have God's Willing. This is a reprint from the Theros block. 1 mana instant, and target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, and then scry 1. This saw a lot of play in the Heroic deck, and it will probably continue to see a lot of play for the next 2 years in Standard.
Next is Griffin Protector. It's a 2/3 flyer for 4 that whenever another creature enters the battlefield under control, Griffin Protector gets +1/+1 until end of turn. This kind of just plays into the Flyers deck, be it blue-white. I think it's going to be blue-white again for limited play. It usually is. Just being able to make a 3/4 when you're attacking, it's pretty good. So
it's fine as a limited attacker.
Yep.
Look, another bird. So we've got a 3-mana Griffin Sentinel. 3 mana for a 1/3 flying and vigilance. It's fine in limited. It gets really annoying having vigilance on a flyer.
Next is Hanged Executioner. It's a 3-mana 1/1 with flying. When Hanged Executioner enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Then you can pay 4 and exile it to exile target creature. I guess the thing to note is that you get the value where most everything has been when it dies.
Yep.
This is right up front. So it's 3 mana, make 2 power worth of flying creatures on 2 different bodies.
It's not bad face value wise, and then you get an ability as well. Even a 7 mana just exile any creature is not a bad removal spell in limited.
Yeah, in limited.
And
so,
I suppose you could have a constructed deck where you're bringing it back. I'd have to look through like modern cards and
there's
stuff.
even in standard. It seems like there's quite a few spirits, and I believe there's quite a few lords for spirits right now. So if Spirit Tribal becomes a
I'm
thing,
thinking something weird with like Karmic Guide, but I can't remember the wording on Karmic Guide. So anyways, moving on. Herald of the Sun, 6 mana 4/4 flying angel, and you pay 4 to put a 1/1 counter on another target creature with flying. It's got a good sized body for limited, and I suppose if you're playing the Flyers deck, you can start a real clock.
If you're playing the Flyers deck, you want to open this, and 1 or 2 of at least.
Yep.
Next is Inspired Charge. 4 mana instant. The creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. It is all creatures, not just one creature. So it makes
it's a reprint.
Yeah, it just makes your team better. I think you play this if you're in white. You play this in a limited
play
deck.
a 1 or 2
I think
of
one
maybe.
of two's quite a bit for 4 mana, but
next we have Inspiring Captain, 4 mana for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. So we've seen different versions of this same card before. It's good for an aggressive limited deck, and it probably won't see any constructed play.
Yep. So I guess this is the first of our ley lines. It's a big one, I think. It's a reprint. The Leyline of Sanctity. It's a 4 mana enchantment, but then of course it has the clause that if it's in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield, and it simply says that you have hexproof. So the nice part about this is that mono red, deck that's starting out there. Even if you're on the draw, Leyline's in your opening hand. You do need to pause your opponent before they play anything.
Yeah. Tell them I have pre-game effects after mulligans have been resolved.
Yep, and then simply beat me.
It's also really good against the Esper decks that have thought erasure, duress.
Yep.
All those effects are
anything that you would want Shalai for.
Yeah,
essentially.
And don't be afraid to play it in non-white decks. We went to GP Detroit last year, and Tim played it in his mono-green Tron deck.
And the only way to make white was to have multiple bubbles on the field.
Chromatic stars or whatever.
Stars in the field, yep.
But it was an auto-win against the burn deck.
And he had it game 1, round 1.
Yep.
So
yeah, it was the main deck.
Yep.
Alright, so moving on. Loxodon Life Chanter, 6 mana for a 4/6. When it enters the battlefield, you may have your life total become the total toughness of creatures you control. And you can pay 6 to give it +X/+X until end of turn, where X is your life total. So this is kind of a weird card. We see cards from time to time that have these like life total type clauses on them. They never really see play. I guess in Limited this is fine. You could presumably gain some life with it, but a lot of times it might actually be a life loss ability, in which case if you're at a higher life total than toughness, I guess it pumps it quite a bit. It doesn't have any evasion, so and it's just kind of... I'm not very excited about it.
I think flashy. If it was... if the ability didn't cost as much as the actual card itself, you might see some more play out of it. But who knows? You could see somebody that plays...
It's a decent body for Limited. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. Next is Loyal Pegasus. This is a great card for Limited. It's a 2/1 flyer for 1, and it can't attack or block alone, but you can simply play any 1/1, get in for 2 every turn. Like, that's fine.
Alright. Then we have Master Splicer, 4 mana for a 1/1. But when it enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 golem, and then golems get +1/+1. So effectively, you're getting 5 power and toughness for 4 mana, which is always a really good value. And then you're actually getting 2 bodies to do it. So you're playing this in Limited, and it might actually see Standard play.
Next is Moment of Heroism. It's a 2 mana instant. Target creature gets +2/+2, and then gains lifelink until end of turn. So I guess the +2/+2 for 2, kind of like a combat trick. Gain you a little bit of life, you put it on some big body, and again, just keeping with the white lifelink.
Combat tricks are always good in Limited too. So then we have Moorland Inquisitor, 2 mana for a 2/2, and you can pay 3 to give it first strike until end of turn. This is an okay card for Limited. You can have some really funky combat tricks where you can get in with a 2/2, and you just leave the mana up. It doesn't punish you.
Next up, of course, the reprint, we've seen this many times, is Pacifism. 2 mana enchantment that just simply says, enchanted creature can't attack or block. I guess the thing to note, though, is that it doesn't say that they can't use their activated abilities.
Correct. But it's still a good removal spell for Limited.
Yep.
Then we have Planar Cleansing, 6 mana, 3 of which is white, and it just destroy all non-land permanents.
Play it.
In Limited.
In Standard.
It'll probably see play in Standard, but... we have lower curve rats already, so it might not see much.
You just need the Planeswalker Wrath, that's it.
That's
next is another good card, both Limited and I think it's Standard, and I think this will have some implications here, is that Raise the Alarm, a 2 mana instant that creates 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. Currently we have the 2 mana sorcery for green, makes Saproling. And then now you'll have the 2 mana instant that makes soldiers.
And you have an enchantment that turns your token creatures into 4/4s.
Correct?
Yeah.
So I see green-white tokens making a resurgence here.
Alright, next is Rule of Law, 3 mana enchantment. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. This will be an interesting sideboard card. Great against the Phoenix deck, and probably against the Esper deck.
And against the mono-red deck.
Esper control. Esper midrange can usually get away with just 1 spell per turn.
Next is Safara Sky's Blade. So this is a 7 mana legendary creature. She's an angel. She's a 7/7. But you may pay white and tap 4 untapped creatures you control with flying rather than pay this spell's mana cost. And then it has flying and lifelink, and other creatures you control with flying have indestructible. So a lot of text. And if you're playing any Flyers deck, be it Standard or Limited, like this could just be a game ender.
I mean, if you're playing white, this is a game ender in Limited. I don't know how often you're going to actually cast it for its alternate cost, but it's...
In Limited?
In Limited, yeah. If you build the Standard deck around it, obviously, it's much easier.
Yep.
But then we have Soul Mender, 1 white for a 1/1, and you can tap it and gain a life.
Yeah.
We'll skip that one.
So Squad Captain... It's a 5 mana 2/2 with Vigilance, but then Squad Captain enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other creature you control. Rewind back to like Raise the Alarm. You don't have to rewind, but
there we go.
Making 2 dudes here, and then or two gals. So yeah, she's a 5-drop.
She's a 5-drop.
So, but you say the end of your last turn or end of their turn, you make a couple, and then you play this, assuming you've already had some 1 and 2 drops.
I will say that in relation to this card, a 2-mana 2/2 is worse than a 2-mana 2/1/1s.
Yeah.
So if you're playing like a go wide strategy, she can be good in limited.
Yep.
Next we have Starfield Mystic, 2 mana for a 2/2. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on him. We've seen many Enchantress cards before, and there's lots of decks built around them. So I guess we'll see what block we're headed to next. If we are headed to a Theros block, that could be really interesting. In New Phyrexia, I don't know that we'll see too many enchantments. But if you're playing an Aura's deck, then this obviously can get out of control.
As far as limited goes, I don't think there's not a whole ton of enchantments to be able to play with this. So it is you basically have to look at it as is a 2/2 for 2, and bears are okay if you need them for filler. So next is a Steadfast Sentry. It's a 3-mana 3/2 with Vigilance, and then when Steadfast Sentry dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. I don't know. A 3/2 for 3 is okay, and having Vigilance, if you can get in over 1/1s, is not horrible, but...
I mean, it does something. For limited, would you play a 3-mana 3/2? And the answer is, if you had to.
Yeah.
It has Vigilance, and it does have a death trigger.
You're not looking to open it, you're just looking for it for filler.
Yeah. And then we have Yoked Ox, 1 mana 0/4, which is a reprint. It might actually see play to slow down aggressive decks. It's not bad.
The thing to note is it's a 1 mana 0/4 that does not have Defender.
Correct.
So it can attack.
You can give a blade to it.
Yep.
All right. So that is all for the white cards. So we'll be stopping. We'll be stopping this video and then recording a review on blue cards.